Bluestocking books, and I do walking bookshop tours in London. While the bookshops have been closed, I've really missed them, and I'm so glad that they're starting to reopen. Now that they're reopening, I'd like to visit a few and take people along using videos who might not be able to come to London for a tour to visit bookshops yet. So our first stop is going to be Cecil Court today, and we're going to visit one bookshop, which is Bryars and Bryars. We're going to meet with Tim Bryars there, and it's a book and antiquarian map bookshop. So he's going to show us some maps, he's going to show us some books, and we're going to get to see 3 things with him, as well as learn a bit about how he got into the book business. I hope you'll enjoy it. And Tim is also the historian of Cecil Court, which is where we are as well. So if you are interested in learning more about Cecil Court, there's a website online that you can access. And in fact, his sign is the sign of the unicorn.
That's one thing I would say to anybody starting out. Look for the signs of the leading trade associations, and I'm not saying only buy from people who are members of the ABA or BARDA, but if you see those signs, then it's somebody who is always going to guarantee the authenticity of everything they offer for sale. They should be able to describe everything accurately. Should there ever be a problem, and I hope there wouldn't be, you can take it to the association. You have some recourse. So there are lots of reasons, but basically, if you see that plaque, the person who has it should know what they're talking about. If I don't have access to them, I start going stir crazy. So this is the kind of thing I do when I'm going stir crazy. This guy was just known as E.G. Perman. If you look on, say, the London Transport Museum's website, he's just there as E.G. Perman. He's there as E.G. Perman in any book that's been written about these maps, but we see his maps all the time. So during lockdown, I was trying to work out who E.G. Perman is, and it turns out he's Edgar George Perman. And he was a successful commercial artist in the 1920s. I found some advertisements that he did for Shell. I found a dust jacket he did for a John Masefield thriller. And then he kind of disappears again in the 30s, and he crops up, and it is the same guy. He got involved in the Flying Flea craze in the mid-1930s, and he turned his hand to building lethal light aircraft. Because the problem with the Flying Flea was people kept getting killed. It was a very unstable aeroplane. So that's what he was doing. He seems to have stopped drawing maps like this one and gone on to making the Perman parasol, the Perman grass. It was like it was going to be the Model T Ford of the air.
Right.
And everybody was going to have their own little aeroplane with like a sort of 2-stroke engine, as far as I can see, that you'd normally use to power a lawnmower or something like that.
And we'd all be buzzing around. I wish.
Yeah, exactly.
I wish we all had airplanes, Tim. It would have made this much easier, you know, if we could have been flying about. Do you mind if you just take a step back and I'll just get a good view of this? So were you interested in this map because of the artistic rendering, or just because you'd never known who he was, so it was a mystery?
Well, it's actually a London, you know, we specialise in London Underground material. It's a big area for us, and a lot of these maps were just given away in the early 20th century, have now become extremely rare. And I've always liked this particular design. It's aimed, I think, at visitors to London. It's not for somebody who's on a busy commute. This is the London Underground trying to promote leisure travel. Constraints.
They're lovely.
This is a lovely early 19th century binding. I mean, this is a contemporary half-calf in super condition. It's got, the book's got its original, look at those lovely marbled edges as well, and the end paper's matched too. And this is Kenilworth by Sir Walter Scott. It's a first edition. It's still got the half titles. The binder has kindly bound them in after the main title. Normally those were the other way around to protect the title. So about as nice a copy of this as you're going to see. Beautiful and clean. Unfortunately, nobody reads Sir Walter Scott anymore, so it's not actually worth a lot of money. It's
So there is a market component to this. It's not, there's no like objective, here's what this is worth. It is also down to what people are reading and what they're interested in. But
this three-decker format is really common throughout the 19th century, and it's partly driven by circulating libraries.
so this is a really interesting model. So it's not a library that we know now, like a public library, an institution that you belong to library where it's free. Neither is it a bookshop. And sometimes I do take people on bookshop tours and they say to me, can you borrow books? Like, can you like pay an amount of money and have the book for a while and then return it? And that was what a circulating library
That was what a circulating library was. I'm afraid we don't do that.
Okay. Nobody seems to, yeah.
Were you in, I don't know, Regency Bath or wherever? Yes, you would have been able to, and you'd have taken a novel out one volume at a time, rather than taking all three at once in a lot of these circulating libraries. So the circulating libraries, the libraries actually propped up this format. They would pay publishers a guinea for a new novel, which is quite a chunk of money, providing it was in the 3-volume format. It's not simply purely of antiquarian interest. I think you'll get more from the text if you understand how, the constraints that the author was working under. It's a first edition bound from the parts, and these came out monthly. So here we've got October 1846 in its original wrappers. We've got the Dombey and Son advertiser, so if you're reading this you might want some crystal spectacles. Here are some books we recommend as Christmas presents, and then we've got the plates and we've got the text itself. And
wonderful, and each one is quite short. How many pages do you have per piece? Is it like 60 or something?
Oh, not even as many 40. As that.
Oh yeah, look at all the advertisements.
There we are, 32 pages.
Okay.
And there are other sort of... So by the time you've bought all 20 parts, that's £1. You wouldn't want to throw these away. Having spent £1, what you typically did was take the parts to your local binder, strip off the advertisements and the wrappers, and have it bound.
Okay.
So you might buy it bound from the publisher or from the bookseller, but you might also, if you couldn't wait, I guess it's the difference between sort of watching something, if you're watching Netflix, it's like, do you save it all up, and binge read, or do you read it as the parts come out every month?
Right.
But most of our business we do through the shop, which
wonderful.
Is why being closed for 3 months was so difficult in every way, because people do still like to come in and meet and talk face to face and handle the books. And
again, one of the reasons I love to come here is because you are so informative and welcoming to everyone.
Thanks, Lauren.
Not just when I bring people in, but always people tell me that they love coming here.
But you'll find me behind a great big plate glass window and the door's open.
Yeah. So Tim, one question that people always have when they come here with me is, how did you get started in this business?
That was my mum in the late 60s, early 70s, until I got in the way. And she used to do the voyages and exploration catalogues for Frank Hammond. I've got a lot of her catalogues. We have we're really crowded, so we're keeping it simple. Please use the hand sanitizer when you come in. Masks are available if you want it. I have a very natty mask of my own I can don if it makes you more comfortable.
How does it work with the beard? I was very curious to know about
They cover everything. So, there we go. You get the
Good.
idea.
So if somebody comes in and they do need to be more careful, or they're still in the mode of wearing masks, which I do in a lot of shops, but it's just you and I, and we're staying at a distance. You're happy, they can ask you to wear a mask, and that's fine. Great.
I'm not,
Great.
That's absolutely fine. As soon as you've gone, even though you haven't really touched anything, I'll be wiping everything down.
Wonderful. And
I'll be handling the books and the maps as much as possible, and more than I usually would.
Okay. That makes sense. Great. So it sounds like you have your plan in place. And
it feels like it's coming back to life now.